Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Still Not PC podcast with Rob Adomus here on YouTube and www.stillnotpcpodcast.com, the website. I've been going back and forth a lot on the subjects and kind of taking a look. You guys, for all the new subscribers, thank you very much for doing that. For people who are regular viewers of the show and sharing, awesome, thank you for that as well. The views on the Norman Traversy video that we just did is just like going through the roof, so keep that up and keep it up, Norman, for all that you're doing in regards to Justin Trudeau. I was kind of taking a look at some things today in regards to really what I should talk about, because we've got all the usual suspects out there in the coronavirus and the BLM and all the stuff that's related and encompasses all the things that sort of come together with what we're seeing out there on a daily basis, which frustrates us and we're having to confront. And if you're not confronting it, you've got to confront it. There's something that came up today and a couple of days ago that I felt like I should talk about, because this one really hits home for me. And that is, as a former athlete, I've been watching really the last few years the decline of pro sports leagues, athletes speaking about subjects they have no true information about. They're ignorant and slanted, and they're trying to bring politics into the mix, whether they know it or not. And just a little while ago, I was on social media and happened to see something that disturbed me greatly. And since we saw a few years ago the NFL, where their ratings declined 40% because the whole Colin, I am no longer good enough to play in the NFL, Mr. Muslim Brotherhood, so I'm just going to bitch about it for the next few years and have companies like Nike and ESPN and all promote this guy against all the great athletes out there who prove their worth every single day in the right arena. This guy needs to go away, and you're enabling and you're catering. So the NFL's ratings dropped 40% with his whole kneeling thing against the Star Spangled Banner and his hate for America. Well, the hate for America, as we know, unfortunately, is going through the roof because of leftist universities, leftist media, all the usual. I'm getting really, really sick and tired of this, and I watched the Toronto Raptors today unveil new buses with Black Lives Matter splattered completely across the buses. And apparently fans were impressed. They neglected to say the two fans that were impressed were Justin Trudeau and John Tory. They didn't ask me, wouldn't have been impressed. So, here's what I'm doing with this episode. I'm calling out players, teams, management, ownership, and the overseers of all pro sports leagues, because the NBA, well, they've just sunk their ship. And that's kind of started at the beginning of the year when they really went against the protesters in Hong Kong and sided with the Chinese Communist Party. No. Okay? Not who you should be siding with. That explains who your allegiance is to, because the Communist Party in China, who are really run by globalists, they're a tool, like so many others, officially own the NBA. So as we know, they're a corporation, and it's all about profit. It's not about the people who really are all about pro sports, minor sports, the fans, you and me. So, and as an extension of that, I've been watching pro sports teams who have had their team names, people are getting now offended by their names. So, as of today, I've come across with some new names for some of these teams. The Edmonton Eskimos will be changing to the Edmonton Snowflakes. Washington Redskins will now be the Washington Pelosi's. Chicago Blackhawks will now be known as the Chicago Demon Rats. And the Cleveland Indians are now known as the Cleveland Clintons. Necessary changes. Okay, let's just pander to the 0.00001% of those that George Soros pays for, called the leftists. And that's who we should be pandering and catering to. Not part of it. And in the famous words of Clark Gable, if I've offended anyone who shares this or is watching this right now, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Okay? Therein lies the So Not PC podcast with Rob Adomus. All right. So, on and on with this. So you can see I'm a little bit ticked. Actually, I'm a lot of ticked as a former athlete. Because these men and women who played sports longer than I've been alive, they're my brothers and sisters. You know, I went to war with these people in the sports that I played. And this is just an offense to us. You think people are getting offended for nothing in regards to things like team names? What an offense to those of us who spent thousands of hours and years of hard work as a team in order to work towards common goals. It seems that there's a true lack of understanding of what it is to work together. And I want no part, and I will never have a part of those individuals who want things like reparations, inclusivity, exclusivity. Use whatever dumbass word you want. I don't buy into it. I'll guarantee you, people who view this show don't want any part of it either. Anyway, to move on with that, back in the world that I used to play in mostly, hockey, Kyle Dubas, the young general manager of the Toronto Maple Buds, he made a statement a couple days ago. When the matter of systemic racism came to the forefront again in North America this time, rather than a one moment send out a tweet or send out a statement, this to me has been very different, Dubas told Donovan Bennett and Sid Cicero during a Tuesday appearance on the Tim and Sid show on Sportsnet. It's been an effort from our players to educate themselves and learn the recognition that as white athletes and white members of management and executives in the NHL, we live a very privileged life. I'm getting sick of that word privileged and being labeled for white people. If anybody who knows me for any period of time knows my life was not privileged, along with just about every white person that I personally know. So you want to talk about privilege and the definition of that? You better confront me face to face, and you're not going to like it. It's been an effort from our players, and even though we at times have prided ourselves with being involved with different anti-racism or the Pride Parade or different things, you know it's not enough for us just to do those things once a year and think that that's enough. That we're doing our part to end the different injustices or prejudices that exist in our society. Yesterday was one of my prouder moments in the time that I've worked in hockey or worked with people in general, Dubas said, because it was a group of athletes who, unfortunately, on our team are all white, standing and using their platforms and their voice to continue the conversation that's been going on for hundreds of years. You know, in all the years that I played sports, outside of sports, in the business world and all, I have rarely, and I mean rarely, met systemic racism. It's become a tool, as it has been for millennia, with the globalists. We used to call them empires. They're still empires, but we no longer call them that. Because as society changes, words change, definitions of words seem to change along with symbols, and their originality changes to create what we have today. Chaos, anarchy, division, which is really not within the communities. That systemic racism is at the top of the globalists, the ruling families as many like to call them, because of the money. Well, they sit back in the comfort of their privileged lives and create this division and use puppets like Justin Trudeau, Hillary Clinton, Merkel, Macron, all the people who are just useful tools in order to create the illusion that we're different. We are not different. And then along come pro sports leagues who the profit will always be the bottom line. All of the athletes, they're useful tools, just like the statement made by Adomus. Whether he understands what he's being used for or not, I don't know. All I can tell you is that as an individual and as somebody who truly cares about society and has friends and family in all kinds of different cultures, faiths, colors, I look at things in just either one of two ways. You're either a man or a woman. That's it. There's no other way to look at that. So you want to take so-called systemic racism, shove it up your ass. Okay? Because that's where it belongs. So I'm not going to make this into a long rant because I could, because this particular subject really ticks me off. So I want you guys to take this video, if you want. That's the essence of free will. And as much as I, wanted to throw a little bit of levity in here with name changes that hopefully actually will not take place, there's always that possibility. But keep on sharing, keep on doing your part, because as you know with the mantra of the show, it's do your own research. There's so much more that we could discuss about this and actually make this probably an entire series because of the continual escalation of what they're trying to do to all of us. So, if you haven't yet, hit like and subscribe to the So Not PC podcast with Rob Adomus on YouTube. Please do. I appreciate everything that you've done thus far and watching the shows, sharing the shows, because that's the essence of all of this. It's all about you and always will be. And as I always like to end the show, may God be with you and your family in all things, and good night.